Assalamualaikum and greetings to Puan Maziani and others. This for this hackathon 3, this program is the function of this program is to help a small private hospital and oversee the hospital billing system for their patients. And the programmer of this program is me, myself, Jusnu Maria binti Muhammad, with metric numbers 159354, and my friend Kausa Alia, Dr. of Sinusrai, with metric number 159355. For this program, we use IOStream, String, IMAN8, CSTD library, and CSTD library. And we have 10 function prototype here that will be used in this program. And here we have 25 global constant. It will be used as a reference in the menu function for the menu function. For main function here, we start with displaying a hospital billing system here, so that the user or the hospital admin know that this program is for the billing system of the hospital. So here we have some variable declaration here. We have string data type, integer data type, double data type, and boolean data type variable here. And starting from this is the hospital is the patient personal info part. So the hospital admin or the user need to enter the patient's name, age, and identification. If the patient is below 11 years old, then the program will ask for the birth certification. If the patient is older than 11 years old, then it will ask for the IC and passport number. Here is the we set up a numeric output formatting to 2 decimal places here. And starting from here is the hospital stay part. It start with asking the admin or hospital admin or the user, did the patient stay at the hospital or not. So it will enter 1 if yes or 0 if no, because the stay variable here is in Boolean data type. Here, the while loop here is if the user or the admin input or enter the wrong input range, which is 0 to 1, it will display appropriate message and ask the user to enter a new input back. If the patient is if the stay variable here, it store 1. If the user enter 1, so the patient is stay at the hospital. So we will call hospital stay function here, and the return data will be stored in the room variable. And we call another function which is stay rate, and we pass room variable, room data from room variable, and the return data from this function will be stored in stay rate here, stay rate variable there. And else, if the patient did not stay at the hospital, then the stay rate will be 0 lah. The patient will not be paying anything for the stay rate payment. Yeah. For here is the surgery charges part, kind of the same with the hospital stay part, because it will ask if the patient undergo any surgery. 1 if yes, 0 if not, and then it will be stored in the surgery variable here. This is while loop, same as this while loop, last part, the last while loop there, and it will display message and ask to enter new input. If the patient undergoes surgery, we will call surgery charges function, and the return data will be stored in surgery variable there, and we call another function and pass surgery data into the function, and the return data will be the return data of the function will be stored in the surgery rate of variable. If the patient did not undergo any surgery, then the surgery rate will be 0. Here is for the pharmacy charges part. This one is a bit different, because we display we call this function first to display the menu of the medicine, because we assume that the patient will at least take 1 medicine, and it will ask how many medicine did the patient take after, and this function did not return any value, and it display the range number within 1 or 5, because we only display 5 kinds of medicines, and it will be stored in num variable here. And this while loop, if the user enter wrong range of input, display message and ask for another new input. Here is the, if there's no problem with the input, then it will display, now please choose any number between 13 to 17. This is because the menu of the medicine is starting from 13 to 17. So the user need to choose 13 until 17, that range only. This is the loop. If it enter 2 medicine that the patient take, then it will loop 2 times. So we ask for the enter type of medicine based on the menu displayed on this pharmacy charges function, and it will be stored in met variable. This one is while loop, same as the other while loop. The function is same. So after that, we call pharmacy rate function. We start the met this variable that have the type of the medicine that the patient take, and this the return value of this function will be stored in met rate variable there. And for rate here, we initialize it as 0 at first, and then we plus with the met rate, with the prices of the medicine that the patient take based on this function. Okay, and here is a service charges part. It kind of the same with the pharmacy one, but it asks the first is it asks the user to it asks the user if the patient take any provided services in the hospital. 1 if yes, 0 if no, and it will be stored in serve variable here. While loop, same function as other while loop, display function, display appropriate message and ask for new input. Here, if the if statement here is if the patient did take any services in the hospital, then it will be it call service charges function that will display menu of the services with the prices. And here it will ask how many services that the patient take, and it display please enter the number between 1 until 8, because we only provided with 8 services in the hospital. And it will be stored in serve num variable here. While loop, same as a function, other while loop function. And here it will ask please enter any number between 18 and 25. This is the range of the services based on the menu provided displayed. This one is for loop. It will be loop based on the how many services that the patient take. It will loop. So here it will display enter type of service, and it will be stored in the service variable here. And another while loop, same function as other while loop. Here is we call service rate function, and we pass service variable here into the function, and the return value of this function will be stored in the service rate variable here. And the serve rate is we also initialize it as 0 at first, and then we will plus with the service rate that prices service rate data from service rate, value from the service rate variable here. It will plus with the serve rate, and it will loop so that we got the total prices of all the services that the patient take. Else, if the patient did not take any services in the hospital, then serve rate will be 0 lah. Here is the hospital bill part. We call patient bill function, and we pass stay rate, surgery rate, FAR rate, and serve rate here, and the return value will be stored in a bill variable here. Because this function is for calculate the total bill of all the stay aspect of all the part that the patient take, and it will plus all that, and then it will total of the bill of the patient. And here we call another and last function for main function. We call bill display, and we pass patient name, age, patient identity, bill, stay rate, surgery rate, FAR rate, and serve rate. Because this function is for display the patient bill, the total of patient bill, all the information of the patient, and with the total, how much that they need to pay. And it doesn't return any value here. Next, we move to hospital stay function. It will return an integer data type value, and it function to display room menu with price and ask the user to enter type of room patient stay. Yeah. Here is we declare type variable here with that integer data type. Here is the menu of the room with the prices, and here is the note that state that the room prices has been already included with food charges. And here is asked to the type of the room that the patient stayed, and it says the range between 1 and 7, and then it will be stored in type variable. While loop, same function as others while loop, and it will return the type variable to the main. And then here is the stay rate function that will accept type variable here with integer data type, and it will return double data type value. Yeah, this function is to determine the stay rate based on the room and days patient stay. So we declared double data type, which is rate and stay rate, and another integer data type which is day. Here is it based on this actually. It will return this to the main, and then we put it in one variable in the main, and then we pass that value back to this stay rate function here. So it based on that. So if the type is 1, which is VIP suite 1, the price will be 750 ringgit. Is it? Yeah. It will start in red, and then here it goes the same with other 6 type. And here is please enter number of days of the patients spent in the hospital, and it will be stored in day variable. And stay rate variable will be stored value of day value multiplied by rate value. So the day that the patient stay will be multiplied by the prices of the room that the patient stay, and that will be stored in stay rate variable, and it will be returned at the main function. Yeah, that is all from me.
Okay. All right. Greetings, doctor. Now we'll be continuing with the next function, which is integer surgery charges. And this function is to display surgery menu option with its respective prices and return the surgery that the patient took. So first of all, we declare the variable, which is search type, and this will store the user's choice. So this is the menu. There are 5 types of surgery that we took, and on an important note, we made an assumption here that every patient has to undergo only one type of surgery. So they cannot undergo multiple surgery at one time. So the user has to input only one type, which is between 8 to 12. So the user has to input any value between 8 to 12, and if they put an invalid number, which is outside the 8 to 12, the program will prompt the user to input a valid value, and will loop until the user inputs the correct value, and it will store the value into search type. Now it will return the search type to end the function. Moving on to the next function, which is double surgery rate with the parameter type search. This function is to determine the surgery rate based on the surgery that the patient underwent. So this parameter is passing information to parameter like value. So first of all, we declare the surgery price, and this surgery price will store the price of each surgery. So let's say if the patient inputs the type of surgery as 8, which is open heart surgery. So this 80,000 will be stored in surgery price. If let's say they input 9, 4,000 will be stored into the surgery price, and it will continue so on for each choices. And it at the end, it will return search price to end the function. Moving on with the next function, which is void pharmacy charges. This function displays medicine menu with its respective prices, and it does not return anything. This is because this function is mainly to just display the menu for the type of medication and its prices. So we displayed 5 types of medication, and there is an assumption here too that each patient has to at least take one type of medicine. So there cannot be any patient that need not take medicine. They at least have to take one type of medicine. That is important here. And moving on with the next function, which is double pharmacy rate with the parameter type met, same as the service charge before. This function is to determine the medicine price based on the medicine that the patient took. So we will declare the medicine met price, the price first, declare the variable which is met price, and this met price will store the price of each medicine. So I say since 13 is the first medicine and the price of that medicine is 30 ringgit, it will store that 30 ringgit into met price. And it will do as that for other medicines as well. Example, for the 14th, the choice 14, 3 ringgit 60 cent will be stored in med price. So let's say the user inputs the medicine that the patient took as choice 14. This price will be calculated in the bill later on. And at the end, the function will return to med price and to end the function. This is like to avoid any problems that from the program mainly. And moving on to the next function, which is void service charges. And this is the same as the medicine charges before. This function is mainly to display menu with the price and its frequencies. And it does not return anything. This is just to display the menu This there isn't any calculation, any integers or anything else. And yeah, this is the menu with there are like 8 type of services, and prices are per hour with its frequency for CT scan, MRI scan, X-ray, and ultrasound. Let's move on to the main part. Next function, which is double service rate with the parameter service. This function is to determine the service price based on the service that the patient took. And okay, as usual, we will display declare the variables, which is service price and duration here. There's 2 variables to take note here. And same as before, if the patient, if the user inputs choice 18 for the type of service, it will ask the user what is the duration taken to carry out the service. This is because to calculate the total price of that service. But beforehand, as stated before, the price of each service per hour will be stored in the variable service price, and we will take this service price and we will multiply it with the duration, and this is to get the total service price of that respective services. So it will continue for all the other services as shown here. For let's say the service that the user input says 21, choice 21, and it will ask the user how long did it take to carry out the service. Let's say they put 2 hours, and the price for the blood test, which is choice 21, is 100 ringgit. It will store that 100 ringgit into the variable and take that variable, multiply it with duration, which the user inputted before 2 hours, and it will calculate the total price, which will be stored in the service price again. And this will be displayed, all this will be displayed in the bill later on. And as usual, return service price to end the program. Moving on to the bill part, double patient bill with the parameters double stay, double surgery, double pharmacy, and double service. There are multiple parameters here because there are multiple values. So this is to mainly this function is to calculate the total hospital bill and the tax. So we declare the variables first, bill, patient bill, and tax. And first of all, we calculate the patient bill without including the tax first. So we plus the hospital stay, total hospital stays charge, total surgery charge, total pharmacy charge, and total service charge. And we add this all up and then we store it into the patient bill. Now we take the patient bill and multiply it with 6.0 over 100 to get the tax. This value will be stored in tax. And as for the bill, we take the patient bill and we add the tax, we get the bill. So we return the bill to be used in the main function later on. So moving on to the printing out part, our bill, void bill display with the parameter string name, integer age of the patient, string identification, double bill, double stay, double surgery, double pharmacy, and double service. There's quite a lot of parameters here because this bill prints out all of the value that is stored earlier before. So this is the bill, as you can see here. It will first see out the patient has been checked out, and it will print out and display bill including the patient's name, the patient's age, the patient's identification, the hospital stay fee, surgery fee, pharmacy fee, service fee, and the total price of the bill, including the tax. So now let's take a look at how the program runs. Let's compile and run the program. Okay. To start off, it will first ask us to input okay, all right. Let's try compiling and running our program now. First, it will display a sort of display like this lah. So first, it will ask the user to input the patient's name. So let's say the patient is Mila right now. Let's take that as an example. I put my name here. All right. Now it will ask the patient's age and the patient's IC. Okay. Now it will move on to the next section, which is whether the patient stayed in the hospital or not. Let's say the user inputs whether the patient stayed in the hospital. So the user has to press 1 for yes. If the patient did not stay in the hospital, they just input 0 and the program will skip to the next part, which is the type of medicine that the patient took. So a type of surgery, sorry. And let's say we put 1 now, and it will display a menu like this for the type of rooms. So let's say the patient stayed in a luxury suite, which is one, and it will ask the user to input how many days the patient spent in the hospital. So let's say the patient stayed in the hospital for 12 days. So it will move on to the next part, which is the type of surgery. So here we will input whether the patient had undergone surgery or not. 1 for yes, 0 for no, and we will pick 1 for display, like explaining purposes. Let's pick 1, and it will display a menu for the type of surgeries and its prices, and it will prompt the user to input what type of surgery that the patient went through. Let's say the patient went through open heart surgery, which is 8. So rather than putting 8, like entering 8, let's say the user accidentally enters 4 or something. It will prompt the user to input a valid value again until the value 8 is inputted. Not only 8, just any value between 8 to 12. So let's say the patient underwent open heart surgery. So we pick 8 and it will move on to the next section, which is pharmacy charges. And it will display a menu like this for the type of medication and its respective prices. Now it will prompt the user to input like the number of medication that the patient took. Let's say the patient took 2 type of medicine, so I put 2 here. And now it will ask what type of medicine did the patient take. So let's say the user inputs 13, and now the user accidentally inputs 10. It will prompt the user to input a correct value and valid value between 13 to 17. So now we input 14. Since we already inputted 2 values, which when we said the patient took 2 medication, it will move on to the next part, which is whether the patient make use of any services or not. Let's say if the patient made use of any services, we pick 1. So it will display another menu like this, displaying type of services, the frequency of the waves for CT scan, MRI scan, X-ray, and ultrasound, and its respective prices per hour. Now it will ask the user how many services did the patient use. So let's say if the patient used like 3 services, but the user accidentally input 9, it will prompt the user to input any value between 1 to 8. And now let's say we input 1 here. Oh, 3, sorry. 3. Let's say we input 3, that this patient underwent 3, used 3 services. So we input 3, and it will ask the user what type of service the patient used. So say the patient used 18, and it will ask the patient, the user, how long did it take to carry out the service? And let's put 1. And for 19, let's put 2. And for 20, there's 20. Oh, I accidentally put 30, sorry. Let's put 20 and maybe another 2 hours. So it will print out the bill somewhat like this. It will first say the patient has been checked out, and the bill will include the patient's name, the patient's age, the patient's identification, the patient's hospital stay, surgery fee, pharmacy fee, and service fee. And it will print out the total bill, including the tax. So that is our program. I hope you like it, doctor. Thank you very much.